9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, I'm Amanda with DevExpress, and we are back on Twitch with Don Wibier. Don, we missed you.
Hey, yeah, I even missed myself. I
Oh,
mean, my voice was gone for like 2.5 weeks, and it was that bad that just nothing came out of it. My
it's
kids
like
didn't
so
even listen
weird.
to me anymore.
You're they're like you're no longer. Yeah. Did they ever listen to you before? Ooh.
Well, if it's about money or going to the cinema or to the McDonald's, yeah, they do.
Yes.
But for the rest, yeah, it's
One, yeah,
you
they
know,
ignore. I know. I have an 8-year-old. He does the same thing. So,
exactly.
all right. So where did we leave off? What are we gonna do today?
Yeah, well, we have been talking and working on that DX Hotel demo, which was the plan to migrate it from WebForms into Blazor and to see what is involved. Um, we've done a couple of episodes on this, and I think that we're gonna spend this episode as being the last one. I mean, there is some functionality that we didn't cover, but it's a lot of the same stuff that we already discussed. And yeah, I think that we can just do a couple of things on this results page since we are in there anyway. And I mean, yeah, if you want to check out how it goes any further, I mean, we can. I have the page, the original web forms version on the screen. It's got a couple of things here that are basically some forms, and the data is quite structured, so this should not be a big deal. And in case you want to go by yourself, finish it off, yeah, it shouldn't be a big issue. So yeah, I think we're gonna do a couple of last things here and see how we can wrap this up.
Okay, sounds good.
So yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of it's been a while since we have done some work on it. So let's switch over to the Blazor version that we have as well to see what needs to be done. So if I first go back, we'll have this incredibly cool homepage, which is actually pretty similar to the one that we have in the web forms demo. Um, yeah, and then we've spent some time on the results page, and there are a couple of interesting things that we did. Um, Here we are.
Okay.
So, yeah, maybe it would be a good idea to put those two pages together side by side. So we'll
We
have,
can compare.
yeah, so we'll have some material that we can do. How does that? Yep. And then we'll put the other one here. So on the left side, we have the Blazor version, and on the right side, we have the web forms version. And yeah, there are a couple of things that we did. So the slider control and the range selector control, which are the two controls for the nightly rate here, and the customer rating. I have taken them out of, well, I've actually used the DevExtreme versions that we have. So I've created the Blazor wrapper controls basically to have the sliders. One of the other things which is still missing is this tag selection. So if you make any of the selections here, so you'll, for instance, you'll go to the AAA location, then you'll see that will be here. And if you want to clean that up, you can remove it. You see, so this is something that we fortunately already have available for Blazor as well. So that's something that we're going to add. And another thing which is going to probably cost most of the time is this rate this rating control. And actually, this control, you can't click it, but in a lot of circumstances, you can actually tick any of those stars to rate your experience on this particular hotel. I've taken a look in DevExtreme, and we don't have it there. So I've taken a look elsewhere, and I came up with some code that we could actually use to create a Blazor control that does the exact same behavior. So that's the second thing that we're going to talk about.
All right, all right.
Yeah, so let's see what we did in Visual Studio. So I copied over quite a bunch of code, to be precisely all the C# code, a lot of C# code I've copied over. And if we go to the results page, this is where we ended last time. And there is still some code which is commented out. You can actually see that I copied that over straight from the WebForms page. And one of the things which is also still commented out is the ensure token list. And this has probably something to do with the token box, which does the selection criteria. That code is already in here. And if I'm not mistaken, I already put that control in as well. So let me have a quick look here. So here is the Blazor markup, and if we go all the way to the top, we have the DX tag box, and that does the same as the token box on the WebForms control suite. So I guess what we can do, or let's see what happens if I uncomment this particular line of code.
Okay.
So, hey, it's already there.
Aha.
So, if I would pick like another location here, it didn't update this location, but let's see if we pick like a customer rating. See what happens then. For some reason. Oh, it was updating. You see, it was just not changing the UI. So that's not too bad. So that works. So I guess that if we would put in something, oh, I see what happens. We need to first ensure the token list and then do the state has changed. So the UI will be updated. So that will probably solve the problem. But yeah, now the other thing so that was actually quick. And this code was pretty much taken over from the original code. So yeah, that was not too difficult to get going.
No.
All right, so a more interesting thing I would say will be that rating control. And what I did, I looked around and probably Amanda, did you do anything with like Chat GPT or Copilot, or did you play around with it already?
No. I'm
No.
anti-AI.
Oh, well, I did use it because I had this idea on how to create this this rating control. I knew what I wanted,
Okay.
so I thought, you know what, I know how it more or less should work and what I want to use, and let's see if Copilot can help me with that. And Yeah, that is always a bit tricky with the whole AI stuff. I mean, I have saved the results into a HTML file so we can actually see what it does.
Okay.
Yeah, but what I basically did, it might be interesting to show it, is I went over to Edge. I opened up this little button here, and then I typically ask something like, "Can you generate a rating? Oh, rating control with HTML, CSS, and SVG because I want the stars to be SVG images."
Okay.
And typically, I would rather not use JavaScript, or at least as less JavaScript as possible. So this is something that I typed in. It's actually some time ago when I was playing around with this stuff. So the problem with this is that the results that I found, I cannot get the same results anymore. So it will probably come up with a different solution for it.
Okay.
But as you can see, it is giving me some HTML with some CSS. It is, and this is obviously quite interesting, it is also rendering out an SVG.
Hmm.
And this is typically something which is quite convenient when using something like Copilot or whatever, because you don't want to create those points yourself to create this nice little star. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a bit of a waste of time. But as you can see, Copilot is generating some stuff. Typically, if we would copy this into a HTML file, we'll see the results.
Okay.
And so it is generating a whole bunch of stuff. So quite cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
But I do want to emphasize that whenever you use something like Copilot or the other tools, you always have to double check whether it is true and whether it is what you want,
Whether it
or
works,
it is
right?
just exactly, yeah, or maybe it's a bunch of crap which doesn't work in anyway. But in this particular scenario, there are a couple of things which we can use, which is the SVG definition, and maybe we can use the whole example. I will not use this example. I just wanted to show how powerful these tools are. Um, I did this before. I can also say, like, can you add a half star option? Like if there is like if I go to the web forms page, you'll see that there is like a half star option on that first result. You see,
Yeah.
so I want to support that as well. So you can have this example that has just been generated. You can have that extended, or you can make the stars bigger, or you want to have rating with decimal points, etc., etc., and it will regenerate some code, and you can do something with it. So it's quite fun to play with it, but you have to really double check the results anyway. But fortunately for all of us, I did a similar query in Copilot, and it came up with some stuff that I fortunately saved in a HTML file right here. And that is something I'm going to show you. I will also tell you how this works and what the whole idea is. As you can see, there is a bit of JavaScript, and that is necessary because obviously you want to click and maybe you want to hover and you want to do some stuff with those rating stars. So let's check how this looks, and then we can talk about how this works and how we can transform this into a Blazor control. So that thing was stored in my index, no, rating test, I think it was, .html. And as you can see, we have that thing right here. So let me get it here. So here I have the 5 rating stars, and let's take a quick look on how this looks in HTML. So what this solution does is that we have a div, and this div has a background, and that is a repeating background, and the background of that element is that SVG star. And as you can see, I've copied over the similar SVG as that was generated in Copilot. And so this is the star that is being used as a background on this element in the HTML. What I've also done is I've added a data-stars attribute with the actual value. In this case, you can see that the value is 2.5, so it already supports half stars as well. And what will happen is, if I hover over, you will see that you can actually click any
Oh,
of those stars to do your own rating. And this is all primarily done with CSS and a tiny bit of JavaScript, which is actually only to click that thing. You see?
yeah.
And yeah, so if we move back to the page, what I've done here, I mean, the event listeners here, we're going to be changing that all into Blazor, so we don't need that. There are a couple of things that we need to take care of, but that's not really super exciting. The only thing which is exciting is the styling, obviously. So let's move to the top. What I've done here, I've declared a number of CSS variables. And those CSS variables contain the SVG to the stars. With the only difference, I've got a normal star, which is one which is unrated. And as you can see, it's got a color, a fill color of gray. And that is what you saw on the HTML as well. And so if I check any of the boxes, so that is this star.
Oh, I see. The one that
Yeah,
you're not clicking.
exactly, yeah. So then I also have, which is typically the same as VG, but the only difference here is that it has a fill, which is in this case gold. And that is the star that is currently selected. Yeah, so where was my little thing? Yeah, so this is the gold one. And then you saw it already. There is also the hover one. So when I hover over one of them, it will render out that SVG, which has a fill of red in this case. And then the element that will contain the control that will have this style set. So that means that these variables are available there, and those variables are being used as a background, in this case as the BG star. I also have the BG rated, so that is in case the star has been part of the selection process, and that will be another class, part of the star rating. And then there is also the hover one, and that will make sure that it will change that color to the hover one.
Got it.
And so, and if I would change those variables to something else, yeah, then the color will obviously change as well, because we want to have that control in a way that we can change those hover color, the rate color, etc. as well. So I knew what I wanted. As I mentioned, I knew what I wanted. I didn't want to code it all by myself. So that's why I used Copilot a bit, and he came with this conclusion. As I mentioned as well, I use this data stars, which will hold the actual value. And I have another one, which is the number of stars that are being hovered right now. So if I go back to the to this one, what you will see is if you watch closely to that elements pane on the bottom with the developer tools, the current rating is set to 2 and the hover stars is set to 5. That is because I'm now there. And if I would move to the left, you'll see that it changes, you see?
Yeah.
That one, it's 1, 2, 3, etc. And if I tick that box, you will see the data stars is changing. And this is all being done and properly styled because of these selectors. And as you can see, it will support 1 and 1.5, 2, 2.5, and the percentages are, yeah, just the amount because we're dealing with 5 stars. So, yeah, that's just a simple setup with percentages, which style to take basically. So this is in a nutshell how we can work with this. All right, so let's see how we can put that into a Blazor control. And as you see, I mean, a lot of things are already being set up properly, so it doesn't even matter whether it is Blazor or something else, because of the CSS features that we're using. So it's quite easy to set up. And I have prepared just a tiny bit of stuff, which is a file, the DX rating control. I have a DX rating control CSS, which is empty right now. And I will use a bit of JavaScript. And typically the only thing that I will use is that get fraction. And that is something that we just saw. Let me see where the HTML file is. It is going to be this method. You might wonder, like, can't you do that in Blazor? Yes, we can, but there are a couple of things necessary in this fraction. Like we need the element offset left, which is a typical DOM property, and we need like a page width to determine what needs to be colored and what not. So it makes just sense to do this through JavaScript, or we should have like a couple of JavaScript calls to get the page width, the element offset, etc. So this is the reason why I decided to just use this only function into JavaScript. And I can put it in just here and export it. And yeah, so this is something, and if we go back to the razor control, I've already set up the module task that will lazy load that JavaScript file, and it will dispose it as well. So that's typically what I've done. Another thing that I've done, I've set up already the DOM element, which has a reference to this element reference here. So yeah, if we want to continue now, I can just go and copy the CSS over. So let's put that in the CSS file. Oh, that was the wrong one. So here it is. And as you can see, this is typically the same CSS with one exception, that SVG is initially set to an empty SVG. And that is because we need, if we go back to the original CSS, we need, where is that thing here? I want to change these with Blazor properties. So if I want to use this control in my Blazor application, I want to have like this rated color and the hover color and the other stuff. So that is the reason why I make them initially empty. and I'm going to render this one out with Blazor. Let's get back to my little Blazor control. We can take over something else, and that is typically, well, let's first start with a number of things here. So the first thing that I'll do is, yeah, let me see. Yeah, I want to render out that SVG by Blazor. And I can do that by, for instance, put in a string member which will hold the SVG, but I can also change something in here, and we'll see in a bit how we're going to do that. The other thing that we'll need to do is we need to extend this division. So if we move over to the HTML file and see what it says here, I need this. And I'll take that right over. But now there are a couple of things that we need to change here. And for instance, one of the things that's going to be variable is obviously the value of the rating. And so if I would go create a property here, in this case, it's going to be a parameter. Oh, parameter. And in this case, it would make sense to make that a double. And in this case, it's going to be a value set. And well, let's give it a default value of 2.5 so we can test it easily. And we can now replace this with, let's format that a bit as well. Value to string. And then it's going to be this and that. Oh, those auto quotes are slightly annoying every now and then. The other thing that needs to be variable as well is going to be this hover stars, but that can be a private member. So I'm going to create a private double hover stars, which is 0 by default. And we can replace this as well. Like this. So this is typically the markup that we'll need for our rating control. There are a couple of things that we need to change, or we need to add actually. The first thing is the style property of this division, and we're gonna make this one to be filled in or evaluated by Blazor as well. And in this case, I will go here and declare that thing. Let me put that in. So what this typically does, it will return a semicolon separated string, which will hold the values of those stars. Remember that we had that fill color. Well,
Right.
we want to make that variable, and that's going to be done by this. And this style is going to be part of the division, so it will be, so we can have several rating controls on one page, but they can have different colors if we would like to. And so this style is always overruling other stuff. But before this works, we need to add a number of properties here. And in this case, I will start with the same colors as we already had in the demo. So this is going to be a parameter. And I will name this the empty star color. And in this case, I will set it to gray, as what we did initially as well. And I will do the same for the other one. That was the rated star color, and this one will be gold. And let's put in the last one, and that is going to be, well, let's make it orange. It's a bit nicer as the red one. This is going to be the hover star color. So as you can see, we'll do a string format on the SVG, which already has these curly, the curly braces with the indexer. So the empty color will be put in here, or the rated color will be put in here, or the rated or the hover color, depending if you want to have this control read-only. That's another thing. In our demo, we only have the read-only version of it. And while I'm talking about it, Copilot already knows that I wanted to do the read-only property here.
It's in your head.
I don't know in whose head it is, but yeah, it's kind of magical. Anyway, so we have that read-only property set up as well. By default, it's false, but this is all good. Yeah, so one thing that I would like to add here as well, I want to bind this value property somewhere. So in this case, it is already reading my mind again. I want to have an event callback so we can bind the value of this control. And with this, we have already set up quite a bunch of things. There is just a couple of things what I mentioned before that hates that JavaScript. Let's go back to the original rating test. I mean, this one, as I mentioned, this is a bit tricky to do in Blazor, but these ones are easy to do. So let's just do that, and we can do that quite fast by just going back to the Blazor control, and we can add those things right here. And so this typically does the same, but instead we can now use Blazor methods to handle these events. So how would that look? Well, let's first start. Let's get a JavaScript back, because there was some interesting stuff going on there. I'm going to copy this over and put that in comments. So let's make a comment block and put that in here. So what this does, it will get the fraction of the current rating, and it will also, in this case, if you click on it, it will determine the new rating. So it will check on which star you've clicked, and then it will set that attribute. We don't need to do it. We can just change the value, because we have changed that into a Blazor specific thing. And so in this, in the JavaScript example, we didn't do anything with a read-only mode, so we need to take that into consideration as well. But that shouldn't be too difficult. So if I would just create an async task on click, which will get a mouse event arguments as parameter, I can now check if read only. We can do some stuff here, and we can now actually take a look on what's happening. But now we need to invoke that get fraction method from JavaScript. Yeah, so we can do var module is await module task, and we can now call the fraction. And how does this work? It works exactly as I wanted. And the value can now be set to this. Now we're dealing with 5 stars, so that will be it. So if I click it, the Blazor value will be updated. On the mouse leave, what we'll do, we will clear that star value. Yeah, so that's quite easy. Let's do the mouse leave. What was that? Oh, that was a void. We don't need to do anything with event arguments. I can just set the hover stars to 0. So whenever the mouse moves out of the control, the whole hover state should go. And by just changing this value, which is bound to this data hover stars, it will just go. And then the last thing what we need to do is the mouse move. So when we move over, we need to determine where we are moving over on the element, and we need to set a number of stars. So let's do that right away. On mouse move. Oh. And we definitely need the mouse event arguments here. And again, yeah, we need to check whether this is, if the control is in read-only. And if so, let's have a quick check. We need to get the fraction again. And we need to calculate it slightly different and then set the data over stars property. So I can just copy over this like that. And I have the fraction, and I can now set the hover stars is exactly this. All right, so we have now replaced most of the JavaScript. We've taken over literally everything from the CSS, and we have taken over the HTML as well. Yeah, I thought I made a typo here. So let me copy this one over. It's going to be on mouse leave, like this. And yeah, let's have a quick check if it builds. It looks quite good so far.
So far.
So good. And now going to be an exciting moment. If I go up, there is one line commented out in the markup, which is this one. And yeah, what we can do now is we can test our rating control, and by putting it in DX rating control. I'll set the read only to false to see if it works. And the value, we probably need to convert that, because if I'm not mistaken, that that customer rating is not a double, but I think it's a float or something. So let's convert that and say hotel dot customer rating. Yeah, oh, it's a decimal and we need a double. So yeah, it needs to be converted. And well, what do you think? Shall we give it a try?
Let's go.
Okay, it was this one. And it doesn't show anything. Oh, yeah, I've got something for that. That's the, it's that one. Uh, it can't be too difficult. Let me have a check. Did it build or? Oh, it gave an, oh, I got this. I get this every now and then. It's just so annoying. It cannot find the slider. Oh, that means that the slider is not working either. You see the slider is gone. Um, I think this is some sort of a Visual Studio issue, which was introduced recently with one of the updates. I have the impression, because sometimes it just doesn't take that JavaScript for some reason.
It rejects it.
Let's have a quick check to see if this is. Slider is still gone. You see it? The sliders are gone, so that means that something here is not working. Oh, it's still building. It failed to fetch dynamically imported blah blah blah. This doesn't have anything to do with the stuff that I just did. I can assure you that. Let me quickly restart Visual Studio to see if that helps. Uh, yeah, I think it was this one. let's build this baby again. And let's try this one as well. And let's do a debug session to see if that makes any difference. It is still not loading. This is so annoying.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah, but I'd rather not have that.
Well, maybe we should ask Copilot.
Yeah, yeah, we could. Okay, so this is correct. Let's give it another go here. Okay. It looks promising because the image gallery is working. So that is also that extreme. Obviously, it needs to load in some JavaScript as well. So that looks more or less quite positive. And there,
Aha.
I see stars.
I see
You see that?
stars. I see sliders.
It is like
There
somebody
they
hit me with
are.
a baseball bat, but I see stars everywhere, man. I mean, I feel like I'm part of Star Wars here. But anyway, so we have just created a
Dun,
control
dun,
that didn't
dun.
exist yet. And I mean, I could click it. Nothing will happen because we didn't bind the property. So nothing will be persisted, obviously. You see, so that this is obviously, we should make this read only, and we can do that by just switching that property. So let's do that. And I wanted to see if the hovering works, and apparently it does. And if I would do if I wanted to do something with this value, so if you would the customer to click on that to rate it, you could actually bind this value to a real property and do something with it. That is also one of the possibilities that we are not going to use right now, but it's already in. And yeah, let's reload it. And now, as you can see, oh, it is still hovering, but you can't click it anymore. But here we have, yeah, essentially added two features to the results page. One is the tag box that we added, and the other one is the rate the rate control. So yeah, I think that was pretty much everything I wanted to show.
All right.
Oh, it works.
Whew.
Yep.
It works. Love to see it.
It looks slightly different from the original stars. I mean, you could obviously, I actually tried asking Copilot to get those circles around the stars. That's what is the case with the original one, but
Oh,
that led
yeah.
me to all answers except for the right one. So I thought, okay, I like this as well. So no
I know. Sometimes
stars.
you just gotta take, yeah.
It's, yeah. But if sorry, if any of you if any of you is like a total SVG master, you can just go because I will check this in the GitHub repository. Um, you can actually just go and change the data here to have a circle with it as well. Yeah. Here are all the points, the geo points for printing that star. So if you put some more polygon points there with the circle, you can probably manage. But this is not about how the star looks, but how it works. So I would leave it as it is right now. So
Okay.
yeah, I think for this DX Hotels demo, I think did quite a nice job here.
Mhm. Yeah, look, I mean, it looks good. There's obviously differences, but I mean, it all
Yeah, well,
works the same.
we took over a bunch of things, and most logic and business rules we could take over quite easily. And obviously, the markup is completely different. And a couple of things, yeah, are just different because of the architecture. But you can see that Blazor gives you the same. That you can do the same stuff with Blazor as well. And
Hmm.
some controls we don't have. We've talked about certain things on how to get those controls by using DevExtreme or by creating it yourself. Yeah, so you can definitely upgrade your project or convert your project into Blazor.
Laser. Awesome. All right. Thanks,
And
Don.
I think that we can talk quickly about something else as well because we're gonna be on the road soon, right?
Yeah.
You posted
What road are
something.
you talking about?
Oh well, I've got a
The
pretty.
road to build?
We're gonna go to build. Yeah,
Yes, if you're going to build in May 21st through the 23rd, you could see me there, you can see Dawn there in person, in the flesh, live.
absolutely. And I can't wait to meet all of you guys and girls. But I have a pretty busy schedule as well coming up in May and July because I will be going to NDC Oslo. I will be to Developer Week Nuremberg. I will
Wow.
be at another developer conference in Magdeburg in Germany as well. And we're going to be at .NET Saturday, which is in Holland. And I will be talking about Blazor as well. So yeah, we're going to be
Wow.
busy.
You really are going on the road.
Yeah, I can say that I'm looking forward to talk with all of you.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, that is awesome. But yes, if you are, I did post a blog post about build yesterday. We don't have a booth number yet per se. We do have a booth, but um, we are going to be right inside that partner hub. Right when you walk through the main doors, you can find
cool.
us. All right, everybody. So we will not see you tomorrow. Gregory is under the weather, but we will be back next week. So check our schedule, and
Absolutely.
if you aren't following us, click on the notifications so you know when we go live. All right, everybody. Thank you, Don, and thank you all for
Thank
joining
you.
us. And we'll see you next time. Bye.